Have you ever reached for fruit thinking you were making the smart, healthy choice only to later wonder why your energy crashed or your heart felt a little off? What if I told you that some fruits we trust the most, even those we call safe, can quietly harm blood pressure, blood sugar, and even raise stroke risk? And here's the part no one warns us about. Sugar can hide behind a healthy label, and certain fruits, especially dried ones, don't play nice with aging bodies or common medications. Hi, I'm Dr. Nana, and today I want to share with you the truth about these hidden dangers, not to scare you, but to guide you toward better choices that protect your heart, your brain, and your energy. You've probably had this moment, sitting down with a bowl of dried fruit, or slicing into a juicy melon, feeling proud that you chose fruit over cookies or chips. It feels right, especially when we're trying to take better care of ourselves. But here's the surprising reality: some of those healthy fruits can quietly chip away at your well-being. At first, it's subtle. You feel a little dizzy after snacking. Maybe your heart skips a beat, or you wake up more tired than usual, no matter how early you went to bed. You think it's just age, but deep down, something doesn't feel quite right. I've spoken with many thoughtful people who couldn't believe their fruit choices had anything to do with high blood pressure, rising blood sugar, or even increased stroke risk because no one told them. No one explained that when grapes dry into raisins, water disappears, but the sugar stays behind, concentrated like candy. Take raisins, for example. They're tiny, but they pack a serious punch when it comes to sugar. Just a handful can equal the sugar in a candy bar, spiking blood sugar and straining blood vessels. That's especially risky if you're managing diabetes, pre-diabetes, or simply navigating the slower metabolism that comes with age. Why does this matter for your brain and heart? Because when blood sugar surges again and again, the lining of your arteries starts to suffer. They grow stiff, less flexible, and blood struggles to flow smoothly to your brain. Over time, plaque can build up and circulation slows. All of that just from raisins. It may sound unbelievable, but doctors see this often. Patients trying to do better, swapping cookies for trail mix, only to discover that their healthy habit was sabotaging them. One woman I spoke with had been adding raisins to her cereal every morning for years. When she switched to a few slices of fresh pear, her blood sugar improved within weeks. She was shocked, but mostly relieved. So if you crave that touch of sweetness at breakfast or during a snack, try apple slices or a handful of berries instead. They're lower in sugar, more hydrating, and gentler on your blood vessels. Now, let's move gently to the next fruit. Picture this. It's a warm summer day, and you cut into a ripe cantaloupe. The color is soft, the aroma sweet, and it feels like the perfect healthy treat. But beneath that refreshing taste, cantaloupe can quietly stir up risks for certain people. Cantaloupe is packed with potassium. Normally, that's good, it supports muscles and heart function. But if your kidneys aren't working at full strength, or if you're on diuretics, your body may struggle to filter out the extra potassium. That's when things get dangerous. Too much potassium in the blood can trigger irregular heartbeats. It doesn't always show up dramatically. You might feel lightheaded, maybe notice a flutter in your chest, but those are signals your heart is under stress. And then there's the sugar. Cantaloupe may not taste as sweet as other fruits, but its glycemic index is fairly high. That means it can spike blood sugar more quickly than you expect, leaving you with hidden risks, especially if you already struggle with diabetes or metabolic changes that come with age. We've uncovered two fruits, raisins and cantaloupe, that may not be as harmless as they seem, but they're just the beginning. In the next section, we'll explore another common fruit that might surprise you even more, something many of us consider a gentle, everyday choice, yet it carries risks that quietly build beneath the surface. Stay with me, because you won't want to miss this. In the last section, we uncovered how cantaloupe, though refreshing and familiar, can quietly push blood sugar higher than expected and even create risks for the heart when kidney function isn't strong. Now, let's continue by looking at two more snacks that seem innocent but may be working against your health more than you realize. Cantaloupe recap, a gentle reminder for many older adults that quick blood sugar spike from cantaloupe doesn't feel dramatic in the moment. But later, it can lead to an energy crash, brain fog, or even a sudden mood drop without you ever linking it back to the fruit. I once worked with a gentleman who ate cantaloupe almost every evening after dinner. He thought he was being smart, replacing cake with fruit, but his blood sugar kept bouncing up and down like a yo-yo. When he finally switched to a small bowl of berries, his levels became far more stable, and the surprising part, he didn't miss the cantaloupe nearly as much as he thought he would. So, if you enjoy cantaloupe, it doesn't mean you have to avoid it completely. A few small cubes once in a while won't hurt most people. But eating large portions regularly, especially if your kidneys are under stress or you're on diuretics, can do more harm than good. Moderation and mindfulness make all the difference. Banana chips, the crunchy disguise. No, let's move to a snack that often sneaks its way into trail mixes and pantry jars, banana chips. There's something strangely comforting about that crunch. You reach into the bag thinking, it's just fruit. How bad can it be? They're golden, sweet, and satisfying. But the truth behind that crispy bite isn't as innocent as it looks. Most banana chips sold in stores aren't just dried, they're deep fried in oils and then dusted with sugar. What you're really eating is closer to a sugary, greasy snack than a natural fruit. The frying process adds trans fats, the very kind of fat that sticks to arteries like glue. Over time, these fats make blood vessels stiff and narrow, forcing your heart to work harder and limiting circulation, especially to sensitive areas like the brain. And then comes the sugar. Even if you avoid pouring sugar into your morning coffee, banana chips can sneak in a surprising dose with every handful. It's a double strike, fat and sugar teaming up to strain your blood vessels and spike your blood sugar all at once. What makes it even trickier is that banana chips don't feel like junk food. You don't feel guilty eating them, they seem natural. That's what makes them so sneaky. I once worked with an older gentleman who kept a big bowl of banana chips on his kitchen table. He told me it was his healthy treat while watching TV, but he couldn't understand why he was constantly tired, dizzy, and foggy-headed. When he finally swapped the chips for a few slices of fresh apple and a small handful of almonds, his energy returned. His mind felt sharper. He was stunned by how quickly his body bounced back. The lesson here is simple. You don't have to give up snacks, but you deserve snacks that love your body back. That means reading the label, skipping the deep-fried, sugar-coated foods, and choosing foods that actually nourish you. If you crave crunch, roasted nuts or crisp vegetables are far better allies for your heart and your brain. Mulberries, the childhood favorite with a hidden twist. Now, let's step into the garden and talk about a fruit that feels like a sweet memory for many. Mulberries. Just saying the word might take you back to childhood. Maybe you remember picking them right off the tree, the deep purple juice staining your fingers. They seemed like nature's candy. Soft, sweet, and innocent. But even the most natural-looking foods can surprise us, especially as we age. Here's the challenge with mulberries. While they are rich in antioxidants, they also contain a heavy load of natural sugars. And when mulberries are dried, those sugars become even more concentrated. At first glance, that might not sound like a problem. But if you're taking medications to manage blood sugar, as so many older adults are, dried mulberries can create complications quickly. For some people, mulberries push blood sugar up to high. But in others, especially those taking diabetes medications, mulberries can drive blood sugar to low. That sudden crash can leave you lightheaded, shaky, or even disoriented. I once spoke with a woman who thought she was making the healthier choice by sprinkling dried mulberries into her breakfast every morning. Instead of feeling stronger, she began experiencing episodes where her hands shook, her thoughts grew cloudy, and she struggled to keep her balance. She later discovered that the mulberries were clashing with her diabetes medication, creating a dangerous roller coaster of highs and lows. And here's the thing, your blood vessels, especially those in your brain, don't like that kind of ride. They crave steady, stable energy, not the sharp drops and spikes that wear down vessel walls over time. Those constant swings put unnecessary strain on circulation, gradually weakening the very system that keeps your heart and brain alive and thriving. So far, we've looked at cantaloupe, banana chips, and mulberries, 3 foods that may look harmless, even healthy, but can quietly undermine your circulation, your blood sugar, and your energy. Each of them teaches us the same truth. It's not always about whether something is fruit or natural, but about how it interacts with our aging bodies and the medications we rely on. Up next, we'll uncover even more surprising fruits, ones that might be sitting in your kitchen right now that could be sending mixed signals to your heart and your blood sugar. Some of them may be everyday favorites you'd never think to question. Stay with me, because what comes next might truly change the way you see your fruit bowl. In the last section, we saw how mulberries, especially when dried, can clash with blood sugar medications and create dangerous highs and lows. Fresh mulberries in small amounts may be okay, but if you're managing diabetes, it's always safer to talk with your doctor before making them part of your routine. Now, let's move forward to another fruit that looks festive and healthy but hides a sugary secret most people never see coming. Dried cranberries. The festive trap. Just the name cranberries sounds bright and joyful, doesn't it? You see them tossed into granola, sprinkled across salads, or baked into muffins during the holidays. Their ruby red color makes them look fresh, vibrant, and full of life. But behind that cheerful glow is more added sugar than you'd ever expect. Here's the reality. Cranberries, in their natural state, are extremely tart. That's why manufacturers almost always coat them in sugar, sometimes more than double their weight. The result? A small handful of dried cranberries can have as much sugar as a candy bar. For anyone trying to protect heart health or manage blood sugar, that's not just a minor detail. It's a big deal. The added sugar doesn't simply cause short-term spikes, it drives long-term inflammation inside your arteries. Slowly, the blood vessel walls grow stiff and lose their flexibility, making them more prone to plaque buildup. And when blood flow to the brain is reduced, your risk for dizziness, fatigue, or even stroke rises over time. I remember one man in his 70s who added dried cranberries to his salad every day. He was convinced it was the healthier choice after all. It wasn't candy or soda. But he kept experiencing dizzy spells and overwhelming fatigue. Finally, his doctor reviewed his diet and pointed to the cranberries, gently explaining how the sugar was undermining all his good intentions. The man was shocked, even disappointed. But when he replaced the cranberries with fresh blueberries, something remarkable happened. His energy returned, and his blood pressure stabilized within weeks. So, what's the takeaway? Dried cranberries aren't evil, but they are sneaky. If you love them, look for versions with no added sugar. Better yet, swap them out for fresh fruit like a few slices of orange or a handful of grapes. Your blood vessels and brain will thank you. Apricots, the golden illusion. Next, let's turn to a fruit that looks so gentle, so harmless, it's almost hard to believe it could cause trouble. Apricots. Soft, golden, and slightly tart, apricots feel like the kind of wholesome snack a loving grandparent might keep in a jar for visiting grandchildren. And in their fresh form, apricots can indeed be part of a healthy, balanced diet. But once they're dried, the story changes. When apricots are dried, the water disappears, but the sugars remain and they concentrate. A few small pieces might seem light and innocent, but they carry a heavy load of sugar into your system. Because they're small and easy to nibble, it's easy to eat more than you realize. That steady stream of sugar places extra stress on your pancreas and gradually stiffens your arteries. What many people don't realize is that the natural sugar in dried apricots behaves just like added sugar when it comes to blood vessels. Repeated sugar spikes damage the lining of your arteries, robbing them of flexibility. That's the first step toward atherosclerosis, the slow but dangerous narrowing of the vessels that feed your heart and brain. I once met a woman who kept dried apricots in her purse, believing they were a smart, low-fat snack. She thought she was avoiding junk food, but her healthy habit was quietly fueling blood sugar spikes and leaving her more tired than she should have been. When she switched to fresh fruit instead, her body responded almost immediately with steadier energy and clearer focus. So, we've uncovered another layer of surprising truths: how dried cranberries, loaded with hidden sugars, and dried apricots, with their concentrated sweetness, can quietly stiffen arteries, stress the heart, and drain energy. These fruits look harmless, even festive, but the effects they create in aging bodies tell a very different story. And yet, there's more to uncover. In the next section, we'll reveal another fruit that seems innocent but can send mixed signals to your blood vessels and metabolism, reminding us once again that not every fruit in the bowl is as friendly as it seems. Stay with me, because what comes next may surprise you even more. In the last section, we saw how dried apricots, though small and soft, can deliver a concentrated surge of sugar that quietly wears down the arteries. The woman who carried them in her purse learned firsthand that even a healthy snack can become a hidden source of fatigue and high blood pressure. Her simple switch to fresh fruit gave her energy back and reminded us that awareness is everything. It's not about cutting fruit out of your life, it's about understanding which ones support you as you age, and which ones might be holding you back. With that in mind, let's turn to two more fruits often found in kitchens, buffets, and farmers' markets: honeydew melon and pluets. At first glance, they look innocent, even joyful. But once again, looks can be deceiving. Honeydew melon. The smooth green Serp is a honeydew melon, smooth on the outside, pale green and juicy on the inside. You'll see it on summer cookout tables, brunch buffets, or sliced neatly in the fridge. It feels light, refreshing, and healthy. But for many people over 60, honeydew carries more sugar than the body can comfortably handle. Here's the tricky part: honeydew doesn't always taste very sweet. That mild flavor convinces us it must be harmless. But every bite sends a steady stream of glucose into your bloodstream. And because honeydew is so hydrating, it's easy to eat more than you realize, especially on a hot day when you're trying to cool off. The result? A quick rise in blood sugar. If your body is already dealing with insulin resistance or a slower metabolism due to age, your arteries feel that pressure. Over time, repeated sugar spikes make blood vessels stiff and less flexible. And when blood vessels lose their flexibility, your heart has to work harder, and your brain doesn't receive the smooth flow of oxygen-rich blood it needs. That's when brain fog begins to set in. That's when stroke risk starts to climb, quietly but surely. I once knew a man who blended a fruit smoothie every morning with a generous chunk of honeydew. He believed he was starting the day light and energized. But instead, he needed more naps, felt cloudy after breakfast, and sometimes noticed his heart racing. After a careful review, his doctor helped him see that the melon was flooding him with more sugar than his body could manage. When he adjusted his morning fruit choices, his clarity and energy returned. If you love honeydew, you don't need to avoid it completely. Just keep the portion small. About half a cup is plenty. And pair it with something that slows sugar absorption, like a handful of nuts. That way, you still enjoy the refreshing taste and hydration without overwhelming your system. Pluots, the sugary hybrid. Now let's finish with a fruit that's beautiful, playful, and surprisingly tricky. Pluots. Even the name sounds fun. They're a blend of plums and apricots, colorful, juicy, and often displayed like little gems at summer farmers markets. Looking at them, you might think, how could something so natural be bad for me? Here's what most people don't realize. Pluots have been bred to be sweeter than either of their ancestors. They're among the sweetest fruits you can buy, and that sweetness comes at a cost. Unlike tart plums, which balance sugar with acidity, pluots deliver a fast, sharp hit of glucose to your bloodstream. For someone already managing diabetes, pre-diabetes, or the slower sugar metabolism of aging, that quick spike can tip the balance almost immediately. And the problem isn't just the sugar, it's the speed. Your blood sugar spikes quickly, your pancreas scrambles to pump out insulin, and your arteries tense up under the pressure. Over time, this repeated cycle wears down the walls of your blood vessels, especially those that feed the brain. What feels like a cheerful summer treat can quietly burden your circulation day after day. I remember speaking with an older gentleman who loved to slice a pluot after dinner, thinking it was a healthier choice than pie. But he often woke up at night restless, with a pounding heart. After his doctor suggested reevaluating his evening fruit choices, he swapped the pluot for a few slices of kiwi. Not only did his blood sugar improve, but he finally started sleeping through the night again. The lesson? Treat pluots like dessert, not a daily habit. A few slices once in a while, especially if paired with protein or healthy fat, can soften the sugar's impact. But eaten regularly and in large portions, they can place quiet stress on your blood vessels. Bringing it all together, know that we've walked through raisins, cantaloupe, banana chips, mulberries, dried cranberries, apricots, honeydew, and pluots. One message becomes crystal clear. The fruits that look the most innocent can sometimes cause the most hidden harm. It's not about blaming the fruit. It's about recognizing how our bodies change with age. What once worked for you in your 30s or 40 seconds may not work the same way in your 60s or 70 seconds. Metabolism slows. Blood sugar control shifts. Kidneys and blood vessels respond differently. The good news? Awareness gives you power. Small changes make a big difference. Choosing fresh over dried. Swapping a sugary fruit for one lower on the glycemic index. Keeping portions modest and pairing fruits with fiber, protein, or healthy fats. These aren't punishments. They're gifts you give to your future self. Because you deserve to feel steady, clear, and strong. Your heart deserves flexible vessels. Your brain deserves smooth blood flow. And your body deserves habits that help it thrive, not hold it back. So, the next time you reach for a snack, pause for just a moment. Ask yourself, is this serving my health, or is it just my habit? That tiny pause can change everything. Thank you for spending this time with me. Wherever you are on your health journey, remember this: you're not alone. There is always something you can do, and there is always time to begin. If this video gave you new insights, I invite you to join our community. Tap the like button, share your own story in the comments, and most importantly, subscribe to Senior Health Boost. By subscribing, you're not just clicking a button, you're choosing to stay connected with natural strategies, simple tools, and honest guidance that can help you live stronger, clearer, and healthier in the years ahead. I'm Dr. Nana, and it has been my honor to share this journey with you. Stay well, stay strong, and remember your best years are not behind you. They can still be ahead.